when you as an organization, Love Thy Nerd, are trying to get to nerds, what's the biggest barrier? What's the wall that keeps you from really connecting with say a nerd or a nerd environment?
So I think the hardest thing would be
okay, so let's as they play and they enjoy their time. I just come back and ask a question. You just celebrated your second anniversary, stream anniversary. As the first year you were on, as you were just kind of you as Frostbite. You always been Frostbite for the whole time.
Since I started streaming, yeah.
Okay, and then
we were talking about this the other day. My very first gamer tag, and my only gamer tag before Frostbite was Little Jedi Man, because I was in middle school. And I thought it was cool.
That is cool. What are you talking about?
But yeah,
that requires like a good sense of self in order to pull off something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so
definitely.
you've been that for a while, and then was it 6 months ago? About 6 months ago that you joined LTN?
So January, I officially became like full-time staff with.
Oh, it's that recent. Oh, wow, that's so soon. Okay.
So I started streaming 2 years ago. I started on my own, and we talked a little bit about this, like just you and I, which is what really got me excited, is because like you and I think a lot like similarly.
Yeah, I think we do.
And so I was just looking at Twitch. Well, okay, I guess I have to take it back a little bit farther. Because after college, I got my first apartment. It was me and my buddy. We both got Destiny when it like first hit Xbox 360. We both got it. Man, that seems like a lifetime ago. But we both got it. We both like played all the time. But like I found myself like playing other games, like just on my own, like locking myself in a room. Like it was very like I was distancing myself from people. And so like, you know, video games, just like anything else, can really control your life.
You mean like without streaming, like you were just evacuating to the room? Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So this is, you know, streaming's not on my mind. I'm just like, I'm playing games because I love video games. Like that's it. But like doing that on my own. And then, you know, it was hurting relationships, and it was hurting me. And I was like to the point where I was talking to Asia, my wife now, and some friends and some other people seeking counsel. And like, I was like ready to like just give up video games. Like I was ready to sell everything, like just get rid of everything. Because like I didn't want it to be a temptation to be like, you know, me distancing myself from people. And so, but through wise counsel, instead of just like throwing everything away, I was encouraged to like figure out a way to redeem the time as opposed to just like getting rid of it. And so it's just
that's really interesting, because that's not often something you get, especially from like your average, you know, I guess I want to say your average conservative Christian or pastor or whatever. It would be, yes, give it up, go find something better to do. But to be able to redeem the time, that's a completely different take.
I was very lucky to get that advice. Yes. And, you know, that's a big reason, you know, fast forward a little bit to like Love Thy Nerd. That's a big reason I love Thy Nerd, is because our first priority is to love people. We love people as people first. We meet people where they are. We're not saying like something's bad. We're not saying, you know, like you're living in sin or like you need this and shoving something down their throat. It's just like, you like this game too? You like watching stuff on Twitch? Like come hang out with us. Like join me for a game. Let's talk about spoilers, like whatever. Yeah,
that comes from, in my mind, that comes from growing up as someone who was a little bit outside the norm. That's growing up as someone who had interests that weren't like everyone else. You know, it wasn't sports, and it wasn't, you know, what the average kids were doing. It's, you know, you're a little bit weird. And now, because you felt that sense of rejection, you felt that sense of sort of social outcastness. Now, when you bump into somebody who has something different than you, or that you thought was maybe weird or bad, or you know, was on the other side of Like for example, you meet somebody who's playing D&D and you grew up and you were told, D&D is evil or whatever. You look at that person because you sense that you're willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and kind of say, okay, listen, let's talk about your area of interest. I'm not going to start with clearly you worship Satan before we get to know each other, right?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I had a similar background too of just, I grew up independent fundamentalist. And if you know what that is, you know what that is. Mm-hmm. So back then, like right after college, I'm like, okay, I had the realization, I want to redeem the time. I want to be, community focused, not just me. And so then that's when I started looking into that's when I first discovered Twitch. Like I was super into Destiny. I was watching people play Destiny on YouTube, and then I'm like, it seems like they're talking to someone, and then I find out on the link discover Twitch, and I was like, yeah, oh, this is fantastic. Like I want to do this because I can.
How long ago was that?
So this was back in 2014, 2015.
Okay, far out.
So I don't think I ever went live on Twitch, but I was trying to create YouTube content, which is still out there if you wanted to go see what I was trying to do back in 2014.
What were you trying to do? What was the whole point of creating the content?
I was trying to get, so I started a Twitter, I started YouTube, all that, to start building that up so I could have a community to show up to a stream. Right. And I was building up, I was slowly getting stuff. I didn't have a PC that could handle a stream at the time. And this was before you could really, this was before the Twitch app on Xbox, where you could just stream directly from Xbox. Because little nugget of advice hidden in here is if someone's interested in streaming, I always tell them to just start. If you have an Xbox, you have the means to start streaming. If you have a PS4 or a PlayStation, you have the means to start a stream. You can do it right from the console, stuff like that.
Language.
But back then, I say back then, it's anyway, I feel old.
7 years ago.
Yeah. So I was trying to get to that point, but instead of just sitting around until I got that, I was like, I'm going to create, a weekly, where is Zur? And Zur is this NPC that shows up in Destiny every weekend, and he brings different weapons and armor and stuff. So it was I would just talk about where he's hiding over here today, and this is what he has, and this is what I suggest you buy. And then I was subscribed to Loot Crate, so I would do Loot Crate unboxings.
So this isn't Christian content. This isn't trying to build a Christian community. This is just you on YouTube trying to just kind of do your thing.
Just to have a presence. I was working towards doing a community, and again, it wasn't necessarily, I just wanted to make a healthy, positive environment, because I guess I skipped over this part. Looking at Twitch, looking at these guys that I was watching on YouTube and Twitch, could be very toxic, very proudful. It could be, very vulgar at times. And I wanted to create, a different, I wanted to bring something different. I wanted to be a light in a dark place, but my intention was not necessarily I'm going to build this Christian community. It was just to build a positive community for anyone, to just be relieved of the darkness and toxicity
Was that a reaction to anything? Because I think as someone who, ironically, you grew up, independent fundamentalist. That means that's pretty intense, and that's really there's the list of things that are no good are quite long when you grow up like that. You grow up and all of a sudden you like video games, which is almost a video game culture, gamer culture, and whatnot, can be extremely toxic at times. So you go from, say, the extremity of say judgmentalism or everything is toxic, or everything, you can't do anything that isn't going to be tainted, to having an interest in something that actually leads many people into difficulty, and because of the way it's just the culture is. So you're trying to tread that middle ground to be able to say you can be interested in gaming and you can be interested in this nerd stuff. You can do these things, but you don't have to get sucked into the worst parts of it. Like, was that
Right.
a motivator for it, or was it?
I think a little bit of that. I think the biggest part was like I wanted to share my story of being able to like redeem like the time. Like, yeah, look at it like, okay, video games aren't bad. Video games, like this culture isn't always toxic. Like you can play, you know, like in a chill manner. Mm-hmm. I think it's all of that rolled into one. But my first intention was, one, I want for personal growth, I want to redeem this time. How can I redeem that time? Well, I can share this story and I can build relationships around this rather than shutting mm-hmm. relationships out. And then I was like, what kind of presence do I want? And I'll get to it again because, you know, this is back in 2014, 2015, where, you know, I was interested in it. And then a lot of things happened. Mm-hmm. The college I graduated from and then was working at, it shut down. And so then I moved, started a new job, all this stuff, tried to keep it going, didn't really work out. And then it kind of was just done for a while. Mm-hmm. So then fast forward to 2020, the pandemic starts, and a buddy of mine who literally just wasn't like, he's an extrovert, and so he mm-hmm. He was missing that interaction with people, so he just started streaming, and a bunch of his friends, like we all just started tuning in and hanging out with him. And I'm like, you know, I tried doing this. And again, like in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't think there's a lot of people doing this yet. So like, I'm going to pick up where I left off and I'm going to just try streaming again. And so I like started streaming in 2020. That's kind of how that started. And then
that happened, I think, a lot. Like I've heard that story, you know, the pandemic started, or I was thinking about this for a while. The pandemic started and I really felt a call to, or I really felt motivated to, I really wanted to start streaming. And then it always finishes with, and I didn't think anybody else was doing it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then I decided to start, and I did everything from scratch. And I had to teach myself all these things. And then after I'd finally figured a bunch of stuff out, I discovered that there were actually like a whole bunch of people doing this. Yeah. And I had just spent so much time, like basically reinventing the wheel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So that's the beauty of it, though. Like I started meeting like-minded people, and like just started like, again, I started just to create this community, or like create a community like that. But then when I started meeting other people that were like doing the same thing, like my focus kind of changed of like, okay, I want to reach people. I don't myself need to get big on Twitch because I'm going to reach people that you can't. You're going to reach people that I can't. And it's the same with everyone. There's a lot of streamers like just here chilling in your chat right now, which is awesome because, you know, like they're here supporting you. Like I've been in a few of these streams myself, like trying to support them. Cause like, I know what it's like to have a dead chat. You know, I don't I don't wish that on anyone. I don't want anyone to have a dead chat. So it's like part of my ministry, part of my goal was to not only stream, but I wanted to be there to support other people as well. Once I discovered that there were other people doing it as well.
It is so neat to me, the streaming community. And I mean, like, so you got the broad streaming community of people that are just interested in streaming. And I don't mean like, esports gaming people. I mean, just like your average, person that wants to be on and share their gameplay, share their interests, share their drawing, whatever it is, right there. They just want to be out and show people what they're up to. That community is already it's a subculture, right? It's got its own thing. It's got its own language. It's got its own priorities. It's got its own rules. And everybody's kind of, I feel like anyway, a lot of people are really pulling for each other. Once you meet a bunch of streamers, you kind of like-minded. The Christian, or at least, let's say we'll call it Christian streaming community, has been such an amazing group of people to meet because I have not felt, other than one time, I have not gotten the impression that there were people that were like, you're a competitor, so I can't be with you. because they look at me and because I'm hitting it as hard as I can, I'm working 12 hours a day. I don't have any other job. I'm just trying to do my absolute best. And so I'm starting to grow a little bit and things are going a little bit. They looked at me and they went, "You're a competitor and we're trying to do our own ministry. You're going to steal our stuff." So that happened one time, but vast, like 99% of everyone else all I hear is, "How can I help? Can I come in? Yeah, let's work together. How cool is it that we're doing this? God is so great." It's been all so positive, so positive.
I think I've said this to you, and I say this a lot, is like when I discover, it's like a fellow Christian, we're like-minded in our streams. Mm-hmm. I like saying like, "Hey, we're on the same team. Like we're not competitors. We are on the same team, and you're reaching people I can't.
It's true.
And I want to support you in that." And so I think people joke around about like the Christian Twitter and how they're always like constantly at each other's throats and stuff. I think there is a little slice of like Christian Twitch and Twitter that it's a very healthy thing of like genuine support, and because people realize, like, I don't know what it is about streamers, but like people realize
it is different because like I was a pastor for a long time, 16 years as full-time ministry as a solo pastor. And when you go to those ecumenical groups and you've got a bunch of pastors from the area around, the above, like all the conversations, like how can we work together? How can we work together? But there is a real undercurrent of competition. Like I'm having this event. Would you guys like to come? It's no. Because we have our own event, we have our own energy, we have our own volunteers. If people come to you and they actually like it, what if they take it from us? We don't have enough money, we don't have enough volunteers, and that's legit, that's real. But maybe it has to do with the fact that so many streamers feel so alone. Like the beginning of their ministry or the beginning of their stream is usually nobody else is doing this. I want to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm having to stay up all night watching videos and figure this all out myself. I'm sitting here by myself. I'm staring at a camera. It's just me. And then you find some like-minded person who goes, "I did the same thing and I'm pulling the same way." And I'm thinking and I just want, let's work together. Like it's not I see you as a competitor. It's I need a partner. I need a friend. I need someone to see what I'm doing and acknowledge that it is difficult and it's not the easiest thing to do in the world, and growth is hard and chat is hard, and let's talk about this. I think that might have something to do with it being the fact that it is very individualistic when you start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the fact that like people can set aside their differences. It's like, okay, we might have a different outlook on this aspect of Christianity, but like in the end, like we're both trying to do like good things. So
it's true.
We're not going to bash each other. We're not going to treat each other as competition, but you realize that we're both trying to accomplish the same thing. And my methods are going to reach people that your methods can't,
Let me back up the conversation then and ask that. So you got into streaming yourself, and it was just kind of like you wanted to do it because you were trying to redeem the time of you being sucked into video game land, and now you wanted to be like, okay, I want to do that, but now I want to do it on purpose and use it for something positive. You start streaming by yourself, and then you start. At what point does the transition to I'm going to start doing this on purpose to I'm going to start doing this with taking more of my energy? And then I'm going to not only do that, I want to work on a more global scale, and I want to work with, even an organization. How does that work?
Yeah. So it, like I said, like many people, you start out thinking you're alone and you're like, I'm kind of like spearheading this. I'm the first one ever. And then you discover like, there's other people doing this. And so
it was better and longer.
Yeah. Oh, you've been doing this since I like wanted to start, in 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back when it wasn't even called Twitch, we've been doing this since, before it was called Twitch. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah. But like meeting, it was just a matter of time until I met someone. Like, because like I was saying, I would meet like-minded people, but we would still have different methods. We'd still have different, not necessarily beliefs, but like just different ways of approaching things. So it was just a matter of time where it's like I really bumped into someone that like lined up with my mission and my values. And so it wasn't that far after. The short version of this story is I was looking to make those upgrades. I was streaming from my Xbox. Like, that's the first thing I was doing. I just started streaming from my Xbox. So I wanted to get some sort of stream PC, not necessarily to like game from, but like just to run streams, which you don't need that much. And so I actually bought an old PC off of the place I worked at that was just collecting dust in a closet.
Right.
So I had that. I had it sitting on my desk. The CEO of the company, because it's a local company, he walked by and was just curious what I was doing with it. Well, I told him like what I do in my free time. And he's like, I need to introduce you to this guy. His name's Matt. He is a founder of this organization called like Love Thy Nerd or something. I was like, okay. So he, again, this is in the height of the pandemic, introduces us to like over an email. And then come to find out there's a event that was supposed to be happening called, I believe it was Gen Con. Is Gen Con first, Bubba? I don't remember if he's still in here. But so they moved it to online because of the pandemic. And usually LTN would go to these conventions and love and serve people by volunteering in booths and doing all sorts of stuff. They can't do it now. So they're like, let's put on an event. Like, let's stream just a bunch of games on YouTube at the time. So Bubba was actually flying up to meet. Matt is here in town. And so I'm like, I would love to meet both of you. It was like the following week. And so they invited me over. I met both of them. And we started sharing, like, I was talking about myself and kind of like what I was trying to do. And then they were sharing what they were already doing. Bubba says Origins was first. So.
All right, there you go.
It was one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's the nitty gritty. So I ended up like, we ended up sharing about each other or like what we were both doing. And then again, going back to me, like, I'm not in this to get big or anything. And like realizing that we line up so much, I was just like, right away, I'm like, how can I help you? Because you're already reaching more people. I feel like I can help you reach more people, and I can reach more people as well.
That is such a key. I watch a ton of videos, especially when you first get started, of, how do you grow on Twitch? How do you blah, 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 right? How do you get big, and how do you gain followers and whatnot? One thing you don't hear, like, you'll hear the same advice repeated all the time. One thing you don't hear is go and serve as many other streamers and go and help as many other content creators as you can. Just go and help, because when you do that, and that's your mindset, not only are you going to have a good reputation, and you're going to be, like, learning a ton, but people are going to be coming to you and actually be like, hey, I heard you helped so-and-so. Can you help? Right. It's such you don't hear that, because it seems like the secular model, as much as I was saying, we're pulling together, is, it's a jungle out there, every man for himself occasionally. But now it really feels like there's if your heart is for service, and the question is, how many people, how many content creators, how many people that are on the other side of this screen can I serve? Can I cancel? Can I help? Can I help to grow? Can I make bigger than me? If that's your mindset, it seems to, like, I think that's where things really start to take off. Yeah.
And so, like I said, it was just a matter of time until I met those people that, like, I could really help. And so the thing that, like, won me over, though, like, in our conversation was Bubba told me, like, right off the bat, he's like, we look to love people first, because, like, people are not projects. People are people. We look to love and serve them like Jesus would first. And then in God's timing, like, we earn the right to share the gospel when they, like, bring it up, when they start asking questions, when they're like, why are you different? Why do you do this?
Did you find that hard? Because I think, as someone who grew up like you grew up, and I grew up in a similar way, there is the sort of a pressure to, every time you get a little sniff of opportunity to, present the gospel, or to twist it, or Jesus juke the group or whatever, or the person you're talking to, you have to take it, or you're letting God down, right? But the idea of going, you know what, that's not my mission here. My mission isn't to grab every single possible way to turn this conversation about Jesus. It is to show that, show love to gamers and to have fun and to be able to connect with them. And then later there's another thing we'll do. Is that hard? Do you still find that hard?
So, I didn't find it hard. And I think it's, we all take our experiences and we handle them and end up differently. I have a really good friend of mine. We had a similar upbringing. I can't remember. He wasn't exactly indie fundy, but we had a similar upbringing where I came out of it and I kind of like took that and learned from it, and then ended up where I am as as still like a believer. But he kind of just shut it all out of just like I don't. Like, I grew up that way. It was just a bunch of like hokiness. Like, I don't think that at all, but we're still really good friends. And like, we've had really good conversations about it. Even him like asking like, how did you end up, like, we had similar backgrounds. How did you end up so differently?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like we've been able to have that conversation. And I think that's a healthy thing for me to realize too, of like, some of these people might have, a Christian background and just have it completely turned off because they had that experience of every conversation turning into like a preachy moment.
Yep.
To where
Jesus
like,
juke.
For me, for me, I grew up with that and I know that, but like I don't hold it against anyone. I try to take that, and for whatever reason, by the grace of God, of like I'm going to take that and I'm going to handle it differently so I don't end up turning someone off to the gospel. So like I didn't find it difficult because I found it refreshing to
I had an experience like people, the people that come to my channel, it's really interesting. I think they have a hard time figuring me out, because there are people who will come in and they'll listen to the Devo, or they'll ask questions like, I don't know if you ever get this now and again, all of a sudden someone will come in and like drop some kind of theological question just to test you and see if you're a real Christian. And then, they'll come in and I know the answer. I mean, I've been studying this thing for a long time, and I sound like a preacher, and I exposit the word when I'm doing my Devos. And they'll come in and be like, wow, this, and I won't have pom-poms on my head. And then they will switch over to the content, and all of a sudden I'm putting on pom-poms and things are getting silly, and Ned Flanders is dancing on screen, and we're playing a game. And I've actually had people who have come to my stream, been into it, and the moment I put on I went into Twitch mode, Twitch streamer mode, they said, you're doing it wrong. You can't call yourself a pastor, an elder, a teacher, a Bible teacher if you're going to do that part. You have to do one or the other. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was saying is like, I think, it's not, you're going to find it. You're going to find it on Twitch. But I think the community that I've been involved in, like just stretching across like Christian content creators and like streamers, like that's not super like common to find.
No, it's not. It's one dude, like one little dude. Yep.
But at the same time, if I go to Twitter and I post like, honestly, what I was saying is like love people first and then earn the right to share the gospel. If I posted that to Twitter, I feel like people would kind of explode and like start like debating that, because people don't like the term like earning the right to share the gospel.
Which is bizarre, because everybody requires that level of relationship before they're willing to accept advice or accept correction or accept, like everybody does that. You can't just walk up to somebody and start dropping correction on them or start judging their life or whatever. Nobody would want that. Exactly. Even those people that are going to be arguing on Twitter. I couldn't walk up to a stranger and be like, these are the 5 reasons that Fortnite is a terrible game when they like Fortnite. And like, they're going to be like, who are you? Like, I don't. Yeah. But we start like connecting on. It's like, oh, you like what do you call it?
battle royales. Like, let's start talking. Mine is Apex. Like, oh, I like Apex too. Like, then we start playing like Apex together, and then like months later, I'd be like, you know what I really hate is Fortnite, and they're like, well, I like Fortnite, but like they're gonna actually they're gonna actually listen to me. So it's like, take something as silly as that and be like, hey, come on in. I don't care what walk of life you have. Like, just come in, join in, let's hang out. And then months later, they're like, wait, your hoodie says Jesus loves you, nerd. Do you actually believe that? And be like, let me tell you.
That's the stuff. Yo, Scarlett, it's good to see you. Welcome to the stream. It's nice to have you on. How are you? How are things? How is stream? Glad you're here. This over there, over there is that's Frostbite. He is a Christian streamer, works with Love Thy Nerd, and is a pretty awesome guy. He's actually twice the streamer. He's streamer squared because he's got his own stream and he does Love Thy Nerd streams. He's been on today. We've been doing Weird Wednesday, where I've been trying to make him facepalm as many times as humanly possible. I got him at least twice until he figured out my trick, and then he had to hold his hand back with the force of will. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the stream.
But yeah, I do. Some people think I'm crazy because I do stream twice a day sometimes. On the night I was streaming for my 2-year anniversary on Twitch, I streamed for 10 hours that day, and so it's a lot. And you were doing You were doing that like back-to-back days for your stream anniversary.
My stream anniversary, I decided I was going to do 3 days in a row. And I was going to see if I can see how long I could stream for. As two things: one is a celebration, and two, to see if I could how long I could actually go before I was a wreck. And the truth is, I can go 9 hours, and then that's it. My brain turns off, my body turns off, and then I can't function the next day. So I've learned that about myself. I want to. There is a question I wanted to ask you about sort of about Love Thy Nerd, but I know you're fairly new there, and it's about how Love Thy Nerd has been transitioning into the realm of streamers. You know what I mean? In that, because when you started there, one of the things was that they weren't really hot to trot on the whole video game streaming side of things. They were still kind of building that. So how for you, what's your involvement there of trying to help an organization be able to capture and understand or to move into the realm of streaming? Because traditionally, and I'm telling the story for you, but traditionally Love Thy Nerd was about tabletop games, and they were about doing I'm trying to think of any other nerd thing like Pokemon or whatever, those traditionally nerd stuff, but the streaming wasn't part of it. So that's kind of, is that your thing? Is that your area of?
Bubba's in chat. Bubba is one of the founders of LTN. He's one of the original 6 founders, and he's giving me props, saying I'm the perfect one to ask this.
No pressure. You just happen to have to achieve perfection.
Yes. Well, Bubba, out of 10 at the end of this, let me know how I do. No, I have no doubt I can answer this properly. So when I came on, they were just like, it was in that world. It was the pandemic, like right at the beginning of the pandemic, where they're shifting gears too. Of like they've been doing this thing. Like their main sense of ministry has been taking these mission trips to conventions, taking teams to put volunteers in people's booths to just go encourage people, walk around.
You mean like face to face, like? Yes. Breathing the same air? Gross.
Yes. Back when that, was the thing. And so then the pandemic hits, and that's not a thing anymore. And they're like, how are we going to continue ministry? Like that was like a big thing. And so there's still other outreaches. They have a podcast network. They do articles. So if
heck of a good podcast. Great podcast, great, like their subjects are really good. Like it's the only Facebook page that I've seen that had any value of all of Facebook. Very, very good content on there.
Yeah. So if you want to check that out, just go to lovethynerd.com, and then there's / anything you could think of. lovethynerd.com/Twitch will take you to our Twitch page. lovethynerd.com/podcast will take you all to all the podcasts, because there's multiple. There's Church Nerds, which is a personal favorite. It's Bubba and his wife they talk about just nerdy things, and then they put it in a Christian perspective, like from the church, and it's really
okay.
cool.
Hold on a second. You're telling me that within the Love Thy Nerd organization, there are two married couples that both pull in the nerd direction? Like your wife streams. And you're telling me that his wife can sit there and hold a conversation with nerd stuff too?
Yes.
Where do you find these girls, man? They weren't around when I was going for girl. Man, holy moly.
Hey, yeah, and I mean, like, then let's talk. It's different. That's the thing too. Like, this is what I'm getting to. There's different. It's Love Thy Nerd, right? So it's not Love Thy Tabletop Gamer, Love Thy Video Gamer on Twitch, Love That. Like, it's kind of all of it. Like comic books, anime, whatever, you know. Yeah. Whatever you're into.
So you can't list nerd things either. You hit the same wall I did. Here's two things that are nerdy, and I don't know anymore.
I mean, I could go down, you know, here, let me, like, I could go down, you know, tabletop games, tabletop RPGs, foodies, books and comics, all sports stuff. Guys, if you're into sports, I hate to break it to you, but you are a nerd. All right.
Yeah. Especially if you're into baseball.
Well, tell me putting on a jersey every Sunday, like, tell me that's not cosplay. All right.
Okay. But every baseball, like, really enthusiast, all they do is math and statistics nonstop. That's all they talk about. They'll sit there and they'll go look at like actual bricks of numbers and not only understand them, but get excited about them. That's nerd. Yeah. Come on.
So, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, so I'm talking about Love Thy Nerd. It's a broad, it's we love them all, right? And so at the time when I met LTN, you know, they were transitioning from like, okay, we've been doing this, how can we do it? Like, let's just stream like an entire day and play tabletop games on at the time it was YouTube. And so I met them and I'm like, okay, how can I help you? You've got this thing that you're waiting to get back to be able to go to these conventions, but that's on hold. You've got the podcasts, you've got the articles. We've got really good articles. I actually, shameless plug here, I have my very first article I've ever written going to be published on lovethynerd.com/articles.
Ooh, what's it about?
For that. So we just went to, I was talking about that convention in North Carolina. It's called Tantrum Con.
Yep.
And so they reached out and were just like, will you write about your experience and just write about how, you know, like the top 3 reasons that Love Thy Nerd will return to Tantrum Con next year. And so I just put my thoughts of what I thought, you know, like they did well and what stuck out to me. And I'm a bit nervous about it. I'm not a writer. And so I hope it's
how long
benefits the website. We'll see.
How many words do they want?
They said anywhere between 400, I think, and 800. And I hit right around 6. Yeah. It was like 5 something.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I am a writer, and I would find it harder to hit a 6 to 800 than I would to achieve it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so now I've done the introduction. How many words is that? 1,000? Oh crap. Okay.
No, it's a 4-paragrapher, I think, or it's 5 paragraphs, and so they're all about 100 each, I think, because I have my little intro, and then I have the 3 paragraphs, the 3 reasons, and then an end. And you are going to go back? Like it was a good experience? Oh yeah, it was fantastic. So you'll have to wait and read. Okay, we don't want to spoil it. I'll share it. I was told the edit, so it should be on the next. What was I talking about? Oh, but so like, there's all these different outreaches. That's what I was trying to say. And so I saw the need for, okay, they're streaming on YouTube, this is before anyone was making the exodus to YouTube. Mixer was still around, and so it was just like we just sat down and talked about like, you know, what are our intentions here. And the thing like we like to say is a lot is like if you're trying to reach people, you go to where those people are, right? If you're trying to reach nerds that like cosplay and like tabletop games, all this stuff, you're going to go to the different conventions.
No. What you do is you put up lame posters in your church basement, and then you get an N64 and you strap it into the church TV, and then you say, we're having a nerd night, and you bring, and you wonder why the neighborhood isn't banging down your door.
Yeah, that's the first attempt. you print out things that say Jesus or God is nowhere, and
then you don your meat suit and you go wander in the streets passing out pamphlets. Yeah, that get you attention.
No, so we say like you go where the people are. So that's why we go to conventions, is because that's where people at these conventions need love and interaction. But also I'm like, okay, we're streaming on Twitch. You're trying to reach the nerd culture on the internet. It's most, there are tabletop stuff, like streamers on Twitch. There's, video game, like just chatting, all of this stuff. But like, where are you, who are we trying to reach, and where do we need to go? Is that on, at the time, it was not on YouTube. And I would still argue it's not really the time right now either. I think it totally depends on your mission. If your mission is to, I want to be a big streamer and I want to grow and I want to get money from it and all the rest of that stuff, I think you can make a good argument for going to YouTube. But I think if it's, I want to reach people in their homes, I want to see the lost, lonely, and disenfranchised, I want to find and get to the shut-ins, the people who are looking for community online, and they're coming to Twitch specifically so they can have a conversation with somebody real, but with that division of the screen, that's Twitch. Yeah, and so another thing I like saying is I want to connect with those that feel unconnected, and so that's another thing. Where that's why you can do things in 800 words and I can't. I had to say that in a full paragraph. Yeah. So that's exactly it. No, but that's why I'm like, right now it's on Twitch. Like at the time there was some on Mixer. Twitch is still really big. YouTube was not the place to live stream at the time, and so I'm like, let's go to Twitch. And so I started doing that. It was just kind of like here's my advice, this is what I would do. And then it turned into like, oh, I'm going to stream, I'm going to create like this schedule. I'm going to stream once a night. You're going to, Bubba's going to stream once a night, once another night of the week. Week. And then
so nobody else was streaming?
So at the time it was basically just Matt streaming on YouTube.
That must have been hard because, if you tell somebody they got to get into streaming, that sucks a lot of time out of your life.
Yeah. Well, so at the time, yes. Which is why, and I don't want to dive into this super deep because it's like him and his story, but like Matt was streaming so much. Everyone loves him, but he's not like a streamer per se. Like this is his words. He's like, but I love it. I love the community, but like, he's not the techie side of it. Like if something comes up, Bubba, we call it Bubba hacks into his computer. There's like there's sharing screen software that they have. And he'll like fix all the things.
The man in the chair.
That's just not up his alley. So he's like wants, in the best way possible. He wants nothing to do with it. Like he just wants to be there present and the community. But like that was draining him because like he loved part of it, but like he hated booting stuff up.
And every day it's something. Yeah, it's never ending. It really,
So, but because of that, you got that ministry burnout, right? You're a pastor, you know what that is. So he's actually, going to be taking a break, going to be taking a sabbatical. He's going to be able to come back stronger than ever after that. And we're going to figure out like what the capacity is, like, can he stream? But yeah, that's something you gotta slowly start to figure out. And, I was trying to split it up, but I'm like, people love you, man. Like you're the best part of the stream. So it's like, we've got it. So
that's the beauty of a team. And that's the thing. Like when I first started streaming, I'm a very I'll do it myself type guy, and so I was doing so much of it myself, and I started to really get this this conviction that I can't do it. Not only can I not do it myself, I shouldn't do it myself. There are other people out there that want to be involved. And as I was praying through it and thinking about it, it became, and especially meeting more streamers, I was meeting a bunch of streamers and a bunch of people on Twitch who were like, I want to serve the streaming community, but I hate streaming. I want to serve the streaming community, but I don't want it. I don't want to, whatever. And so I basically gave the offer, listen, okay, tell you what, I will be the streamer. What do you like to do? Well, I like to hang out on Discord. Okay, cool. You come do that for me. I like to do digital art, but come help me. I like to do video editing. Cool. Come help me. And so I started praying for a team. I call them the Stream Dream Team. And within a month, I had eight people who were like, and of diverse, backgrounds or whatever, who were like, I get to serve the community. I get to serve the Twitch community. I get to be on mission with and for God, but I don't have to do the crappy stuff that I don't like. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of that team. And I think you get that somebody who is really winsome and everybody seems to be just magnetically attracted to, they're going to get paralyzed by the tech. You know what I mean? But if you can give them the tech and just let them be themselves, you've got the win-win. There's nothing but up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the beauty about LTN as well, is we're a ministry. We're a full-fledged organization, nonprofit, 501c3. And Bubba says, if you know what that is, you know what that is. But we're a legit organization that people can support. And where our money goes to supporting, I say this in stream all the time, that all the bits, all of the subs, all of that. First and foremost, it goes a chunk of it goes into our benevolence fund, and that's just people going through a rough time. People have in the community have some emergency come up, or they have these medical bills they can't tackle. This was recent, people adopting. Yes, Bubba, we've helped people adopt and all sorts of stuff. And so, we're able to do that because people are supporting the ministry, but also it puts us in these conventions. We take legitimate mission trips. It's not mission trips where it's we're going to go to a foreign country and build a shoddy house with teenagers, but we're going to go. We're gonna go into these. We're gonna go into these conventions, and we're going to volunteer in people's booths. Where
you're nerd holistic, you're trying to cover the whole nerd culture. Now, let me ask you this then? What is the biggest struggle when you're trying to serve nerd culture? And I will ask from the streaming perspective because. But when you as an organization, Love Thy Nerd, are trying to get to nerds, what's the biggest barrier? What's the wall that keeps you from really connecting with, let's say, a nerd or a nerd environment?
So I think the hardest thing would be a wall for me is meeting another nerd, but they have a completely different nerddom. So
right.
That's the tough thing. And that's what's important, again, to bring it back to building a team, having a team, because I like video games. I'm into tabletop games, but Bubba can just talk about tabletop games forever. Right. And he knows the nitty gritty of it all. He knows all the terms. He knows people in the industry. That's something I'm still learning. So if I go in and I start trying to talk to someone about Magic the Gathering, it's going to be an immediate turnoff because they're going to find out real soon that I have no idea what I'm talking about.
And if you start faking it, you're going to lose it. You're just going to lose them, right?
They're never going to want to talk to me again.
Yeah.
And so I feel that is a big wall, but that is easily avoidable. Building your team, I'm not a writer, but we have writers that can make really good content. I'm not, into anime, but we got people in the community that could talk about it for days. But yeah, I think the other one too, I'm glad Bubba said it because I do want to talk about this too, but preconceived notions and ideas that people have regarding the church is a massive wall too. So another thing we talk about LTN is a bridge between nerd culture and church culture.
Right.
And the bridge goes both ways. So we talk about, like, we tell nerds that the church is okay because, like, a lot of them again have like similar backgrounds sometimes, or like they have a background in Christianity where they grew up and it's like, you know, D&D is of the devil and you can't play these games, and like, you know, when you grow up, when you become a man, you put away childish things, and childish things are video games and board games and nerdy things, and it's like you got to go out and be a boring adult. It's like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, go suck lemons. Everybody loves doing that. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, we're telling nerds that, like, no, that's not what the church is supposed to be. And like,
wait,
you know,
hold on. Frost isn't into anime. You don't watch anime?
I've seen a few. I've seen Death Note, like everyone.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody. I really appreciate you being on stream. We're done now. That's it. We're done. Walk away. That all that tells me is that you haven't watched the right ones.
So I've seen, like I said, I've seen Death Note, and I've seen One Punch Man, and I've seen a lot of Studio Ghibli.
Okay, Studio Ghibli doesn't count. One Punch Man is good though. Man, okay. Yeah,
Bubba, get up here. I've never seen the live action.
The live action? No. That's okay.
No, I'm not like super into it.
I wouldn't have been either. Like, but I've always been into cartoons. Like, for my entire life, I've never had a break, you know, up till age 44, where I didn't like cartoons and I didn't like animation and I didn't like the, you know, everything from Wile E. Coyote when I was a kid all the way up to watching, you know, Funimation right now, or, you know, and considering Crunchyroll now that they're making the big transition. But, you know, the idea of I love animation. I love the whole thing. As soon as I got into anime and started watching more and more and more and more of it, it grabbed me, because not only is it more adult, I guess you'd say, as in the themes are more adult and the concepts are more adult, but the way that the Japanese culture, or the whatever culture is writing it, perceives Christianity, and the way that they use Christian tropes or Christian words or whatever is so bizarre. It kind of draws me like sort of a moth to a flame. I'm going to stop talking now because we're not talking about anime, but I do like anime.
No, yeah. I want to give things a chance. Asia said it in chat. Like, I'm super stubborn. I'm also a creature of habit. So it's like, I am watching through Psych for the like millionth time. Because
really? Yeah, I hear you.
I watch it at least once a year. And like, that's not an exaggeration. Every time I just get the inkling of like, oh, I would love to watch that again, I just start it. And it gets better and better every time. So starting a new anime, like, that's just like seems like impossible to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Have like, you know, 500 seasons, and the other ones are just like super deep.
I feel the same way about PvP in games. It just the idea is overwhelming, and there's so much to think about. Yeah, no, I totally.
But yeah, on my list, and Asia has a list, but on my list, I want to watch what is it called now? My Hero Academia.
Yeah. That's a nice entry level one. Yeah, that's a nice entry level one. That's good.
And then she's recently watched Demon Slayer, which like I've seen a bunch of that, which like that seems over the top, but like I would still like, there's parts of it in there that I'm like, I would be into this. I'm answering the question, what is one of my favorite stream moments?
Oh yeah.
So basically my answer is, it's never really yes, hello. I was just bringing in Pocky here. It's based around the community. So my second stream anniversary was this past Sunday, but we were celebrating on Monday. And it was just, I was like, I don't want to make this about me. Like, I'm not doing a subathon where it's like, I'll stream an hour longer every 10 subs I get. Like, we started it out doing games like this, where it's like, we're bringing in the community, we're playing Jackbox games, and then let's play some Halo, and then let's play Fortnite. But it was like, I was constantly just with people. And again, this goes back to why I started, is to like build community and be surrounded by people and not shut myself out. So like, my favorite moments are the little moments when it's like, we're just having fun as a community, and it's not me by myself, like praising someone for rating me with like 1,000 people.
Yeah. I've learned a real appreciation for the conversational interpersonal aspect of Twitch, because I was a YouTube guy. You know, it was go to YouTube, consume YouTube, find something you like, have it play in your ear, or sit there and watch it. And I wasn't a Twitch guy. Even as I was being on Twitch, my preference for media consumption was YouTube, because it's encapsulated, it's short form, it's concentrated, it's usually well edited. You know, it's a different thing. And as I met more streamers, and as I spent more time on Twitch, I started to do, you know, purposefully pull up other people's streams and go, okay, I'm gonna watch, you know, Jate. I'm gonna watch, you know, Frost. I'm gonna sit here. What's it like to have them on the screen while I'm working? And I've so started to appreciate it, because when I go there, I join and go, hi. All of a sudden, there's a guy on the other side that is like, hi, I value you. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. We're doing a fun thing. Now you're part of it. Here's the community. Two people in the community go, hi, I value you. I'm glad you're here. I know you're sitting at home alone by yourself, staring at something, doing work and whatever, but we're here too. You know, we're with you. And it has been it's like a healing balm to the soul to be able to join in with someone who, even if you know how it works, you come in and the streamer goes, hey, it's nice to see you. And then it's either you don't have to talk to that person, or you can totally engage and just dump the truck on them, and it's you can go either way. But man, it's a special, unique environment. It's not like anywhere else, and that's I think your point of, you know, streaming on YouTube. I think that's very much come and watch, come and view the thing that's happening, whereas Twitch is very much come and be part of it. You know, come and engage. Yeah.
You nailed it with that. I think so too. And honestly, that's why. So like when Asia, she wanted to share her love of food and her culture, like with people, and build, like she calls it her familia. And she was doing that like on YouTube, like creating YouTube content. And then she saw me on Twitch and how like interactive and how community based Twitch was. And she's like, YouTube is not the place that I want to be. Like I want to be with that community aspect. And so she moved to Twitch, and she's loved it ever since. And so, yes, if you are like, if you're a Tim the Tap Man, or, you know, like someone who's like just a good like entertainer or good at a game, and like you want to make it big and pay the bills, like YouTube's going to be where you need to be. But if like, Twitch is not perfect. Twitch is far from perfect. They make so many mistakes, and that's a whole other stream we could dive into. But like, as far as just the community aspect of it, Twitch is where it's at.
You were saying before about your journey onto LTN and them being about nerds. I asked the question, you know, what's the hardest thing to do when you get into nerd culture? To talk from Bubba, or Bubba said, you know, basically like trying to make that bridge, make that gap. What in your life right now, as you know, because you go to church, you're part of a church, or I assume. Is all of your nerdy stuff online through LTN, or have you been able to bleed that into IRL life, into the church that you attend and stuff, or is there still a disconnect there?
No, that is an excellent question. So when I first met Matt and Bubba, is like back when we were talking about back where I was like, oh, how can I help you? Like, you guys want to do stuff online. Like, I haven't been doing this for very long, but like, I feel like I figured it out, and I feel like I can help you. Like, let's do that. Well, at the same time, I'm hanging out with these guys who are super into tabletop stuff, more so than video games. Like, they both love video games, but it's like their bread and butter is tabletop stuff. And so they're like, hey, come over, we're doing this stream on YouTube, like hang out with us, we're playing games. Like, do you play like tabletop games? I'm like, I mean, I think the craziest one I played is Catan. And so it's just like, okay, they're like, you'll do fine, like come on over. And then we're playing all these games that I've never heard of. I'm trying to remember some of them, but like well, actually one of them is called Sorcerer City, which is like a pretty involved game.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never seen these like at Walmart and like on the shelves.
Once you dip into that part of the pool, it's some pretty like intent. Like, okay, it's not just we're going to teach you the rules in the next 5 minutes here. It's going to be you're going to have to play this about 6 times, and then you'll start to grasp the concept of this game. You know.
Yeah, I mentioned Sorcerer City, and Bubba's just like, I love that game. Like it brings the tabletop people. Like, if you know what you're talking about, again, like just staying in your lane. But if you know what you're talking about, like it'll bring people out of the woodwork. And my favorite thing, Bubba says, one of my favorite things, Bubba says a lot of things, but he's like, he likes finding the milkshake games, which brings all the boys to the yard. So it's like you're playing this
nice.
and it brings people out asking questions. But yeah, so before I met Matt and Bubba, I had Catan, and I had Star Wars Monopoly and Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. I think those were my like board games.
There you go. All right, yeah.
And then fast forward, not 2 years later, and like
you grew up indie fundy, and you don't have Rook. Is that it? Yeah, Rook. I think Rook is it. Yeah.
Like Euchre's another one.
Because I remember when I was growing up in churches where you weren't allowed to use cards, you were still allowed to play Rook. Yeah. Because Rook wasn't demonic.
Dutch Blitz was like at our Bible college everywhere.
Yep.
Or yeah, so it's like I had, it's like, yeah, and I grew up playing a ton of Risk, like me and my buddies play Risk through. But like then I met these guys, and it's like, no, there's all these like indie game developers like that do all this stuff, and we've got like these relationships, and they make like really good games. And I'm just like, it just opened my eyes to that whole world. And then I'm like pointing behind me, like I've got shelves of games now.
Right.
Which is
what's that game from Parks and Rec? The Cones.
Oh, Cones of Dunshire. Dude,
Cones of Dunshire. That's immediately what I think of when I think of those the indie games. I'm like, okay, it's just so super involved. Yeah, Cones of Dunshire.
But yeah, there's like all sorts of stuff now, and there's like Christian developers out there. Like Warrior Light brought up a game called Deliverance. Like that's behind me. It's not even out yet, and I have like an early copy of it because like Matt had it, and it's like a whole other thing. But it's like it's a game about angels and demons, and it has Christianity. It's just like riddled through it, and it's a really great game with really good like playability, and anyone could sit down and play it because it's just like at the surface, it's a game about angels and demons, and
right. So it's not apples to apples Christian edition.
Yeah,
that might be my least favorite game of all time, because there's no way to play it as somebody who knows theology. There's no way to play it without A, becoming a heretic, and B, becoming mad at everybody at the table.
Exactly. So, yes, the Christian editions of just everything are sometimes like just borderline cringeworthy. I will say, though, there's a good one.
It is a bad game, Rusty.
Created a game. It's not quite apples to apple. It's like Cards Against Humanity a little bit, but like it's called Sunday School Answers, and that game gets really funny. And so he made that game. I can't. You just Google it. You could pick it up. But there's like expansions. There's a nerd deck for like.
That sounds awesome.
There's a nerd deck. There's a superhero deck. Like you can add all these things in. But all that to say is like back to the original question you answered. How do we do this like locally? And a lot of it is like, okay, video games, it's just easier to play online now, right? It's kind of lost that LAN party, like, vibe that it used to have. But now it's like the board games are kind of making a comeback where that's bringing people together locally. And so one easy thing that everyone could do is just find your local game store or comic book store and like frequenting it. And like that goes a long way. It supports local, and you're like pouring into people's businesses and lives. The other thing is that we started doing is me and some friends started hosting like a game night, a community game night. Specifically, we use community game night at our church. We don't say church game night because we want to bring in everyone. But we...
Come on. It needs to be alliterative. You need to use like some kind of word from the Bible, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have holy grounds as your coffee shop, then you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. So, but we've been doing that, and that's been great because we've gotten to invite people and get to know people and build relationships through that. And it's so easy. Like games like that are the bridge between gaps, like age gaps, gender gaps, what is it? What am I thinking of? Culture gaps. Like a game brings people together. Like, do you want to play this game about birds? Like, I don't really care about birds, but this is a fun game. Let's sit down and play together.
How many times have you been asked the question, wait, I thought you were a Christian. Are you allowed?
Oh, a lot. Yeah. I didn't know Christians were allowed to play Dungeons.
Isn't that crazy? I know. It's so the way that people perceive the rules of Christianity, especially considering they don't know and they didn't go to church and they don't know that, but still out there all the time is, you know, if it's fun or if it's something that culture generally likes, then Christians must hate it, right? Which again is sort of the uphill battle that Bubba was talking about when it comes to nerd culture and nerd stuff, to be able to actually say, you know, we are into the thing you're into, but we're doing it in a way that glorifies God. And how do you have that conversation when those two thoughts have never been put together in that person's brain? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly
being a Christian cannot equal fun. That's exactly the point. And that's why I think for me, and not that it's about me, but I think that's one of the reasons that some people have a hard time with me, because I do watch anime and I do play video games and I am on Twitch and I love tech. I've got nerd roots to go a long way down. And yet at the same time, I love theology and I love Bible study and I love teaching, and I get real serious about getting it right. And, you know, I talk about really deep stuff. I'm a pastoral counselor. And so we talk about really important subjects that touch people's lives from a biblical perspective. And then we do the goofy stuff. And it's one of those, I don't think I'm supposed to exist things. Right. Mm. I was watching Comedian yesterday, and it's the gangly guy that did the voice for the pig in Spider-Man, Spider-Verse.
What's his name? I know who you're talking about.
Him. So I was watching him and he was saying, sorry?
John Mulaney?
Yeah, John Mulaney. So he was it was a clip, and he was saying how he when they were making him in heaven, they put all the gay parts in, but they forgot to flip the gay switch, which makes him a very, you know, kind of a goofy guy. And I think in the same way, you know, I've got I've got these two parts of a person that aren't supposed to be together, but they exist within me, which makes it strange, because you're either you're weird and offensive to somebody, or you're weird and offensive to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about, though, is like the LTN is that bridge that's trying to say, like, okay, both sides, like, take a look at this culture, like, this is how you should look at it, this is how you can interact. Take a look at this culture, like in the church and nerd culture. From history, it just always butted heads. Yeah. So now, true. Like, that's what we're trying to do. Yep.
Which isn't actually traditionally true, because it used to be the church was the center of social society. You went to church to meet people, to have fun, to do they hosted the dance. They were the biggest building in town. They did the education. They planted the hospital. They're the ones who had the resources in town, and they were the ones who were able to create like the fair, and like it was all church stuff. That they were the ones who were known for doing the fun stuff in town. And then at whatever, I don't know, however long ago, it was just kind of given up. Like it's like church can no longer have fun. We're just going to give that part up. And we, you know, I don't know. Yeah. It's such a bizarre thing to be in this arena that we're in, and to also try to toe that line. So let me ask you that question. How do you, as a gamer who plays, you know, those violent games where you're always shooting people and full of cuss words, and listening to people online that don't believe in Jesus, how do you tread that line of trying to live as a Christian who is, you know, following Philippians, you know, 4:8, the idea of or trying to live the fruit of the spirit, of whatever you want to say, sure. And at the same time, enjoy the game, be part of the community, be part of that group, and actually not go, I shouldn't do this. So how do you do that without either searing your conscience or without being, unable to enjoy the game because, I don't know. How do you do that?
So I grew up, again, like pretty strict background. There was a time where I wasn't allowed to play like the games like that, like with shooting, where, like these competitive games. And so it's funny. Yeah. That's another funny story because like I would go to like youth group parties, LAN parties, and they'd be playing Halo. My youth group with my youth at my youth pastor's house, and my parents are like, "No, you can't play that." Like, so it was a very confusing time.
You treading that line? How do you tread that line?
So it comes down to, again, you just got to realize everyone's different. Again, everyone has different outlooks on things. There's still people out there that like can't play those games. Maybe it's too much for them.
Let me rephrase the question. You personally, when you're looking at these games and you're trying to, what do I play? What can I play? Sure. What am I allowed to play? What honors God? What clearly dishonors God? How do I fit that into trying to meeting with culture and becoming, understanding Twitch culture and becoming part of it? But all of a sudden, the Geiger counter starts ticking a little too much. How does that work with you?
Personally, for me, it comes down to that. Like, what does this, like, how can I redeem this? Okay. At the end of the day, like, am I actually like shooting someone? No, like it's a game. Like we play games to like pretend. Okay. Am I pretending to like run around and like kill people? Like, no, it's a fun way to just expel some of this like heightened energy of like, okay, I'm going to try really hard to point this little circle at someone's head and like, and like try to do that. It at the end of the day, it's a fun challenge. It's not like I'm going to go around and shoot as many heads as I can for me. But like, then there's on the other side of the spectrum of like, okay, is playing something like Halo, playing something like Fortnite, is that okay? And is something like, for me personally, is something like, Grand Theft Auto. Right. Is that okay? For some people it is. For me, I tried Grand Theft Auto 5 when it was like free on Game Pass. Like I booted up the story and I immediately hated it. I'm like, this is disgusting for me. I don't want anything to do with this. I'm not having fun at all. So I like dipped out of there. But my buddies were playing online. And so it's just like, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try the online aspect of Grand Theft Auto, and we ended up playing a lot. That ended up being a lot of fun because like we're pulling off like different heists and stuff, and it's just like, am I actually like pulling off heists and stealing like casino money? Like, no. But, like it's just a fun like challenge of like, sneak around, just like playing Assassin's Creed or something. But like to be able to connect with people that I otherwise wouldn't be able to, and to do something fun together, like, okay, that is what I look at it as, not like actually like, oh, I'm going to go, play this horrible game.
Have you ever pushed yourself and went into a game that you thought was icky and kind of it was your conscience was saying, hold on there, buddy, because you wanted to engage with culture or engage with the whoever?
Nope. And I look at that because like some people do. Some people like that doesn't hurt their conscience. It doesn't hurt their like testimony. Like they can see that as like, just like I'm saying, there's some people that can't play Halo because it's just like, I can't pull that trigger or whatever. I can't play Call of Duty. It's too realistic. On the other side of it, like people can play something like Grand Theft Auto and see like, it's just a game. And I'm not here to judge them. And so I think it's important. I think those people that can play that are just as important as the people that are on the other side. Whereas like they're going to be able to reach that community and be like, oh no, I'm a Christian or I believe this, and still play that. So again, it's important to be like, okay, we have similar beliefs, we're like-minded people, but you can play that and I can't. It's not my my space to judge you for playing a game that I can't stomach.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I've only got 2 minutes left in stream according to my timer, and there was one more topic that I wanted to talk to you about, but I don't know if I have time. I guess I'll drop it and I'll make you answer it in 1 minute. How about that? The Christian tag. For against, is it a good thing to have on there? Is it a bad thing to have on there? Does it help the mission? Does it hinder the mission? Does it change your audience? What's your take? Okay, we got 10 minutes now. There we go.
I want to answer this. Let's do another 10 minutes.
Thanks, Blocker J. Appreciate it, my man. That's okay. Now we got 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes to answer the question. Yeah,
I'm gonna try to answer this quickly still, because like I do have some stuff I got to get to. I still have my lunch sitting in front of me, and it's like 4 p.m. So
I know, right?
But I do want to answer this because you and I have had this conversation. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that Twitch added it.
It did it immediately. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so I don't know if you remember the tag. So they put out that last Easter. They put out this like 1 million tags. It was like 550. They were so proud of it. They were hyping it up like crazy. I went through there because when I first started on Twitch, first thing I typed into Twitch was Christian, Bible, pastor, religion, spiritual, anything like that. Nothing other than porn came up. There was nothing other than porn. And so they brought out those tags, those 550 tags they were so proud of. Not a single religion was represented. So I literally went on Twitter. I'm like, okay, why are there no religions? Come on, we want to find each other. You got a huge amount of Christians, a huge amount of religious people on there. If you're going to divide people by furry, if that's on there, why can't, Christian be on there or any religion be on there? And they, after like 2 weeks or whatever, they quietly, without saying anything, added them in. There was no announcement. There was no anything. So they go on there. Okay, so that's the story. Yeah. So there they are. So you're like, good. I'm glad they went on there.
Yeah, I'm glad it ended up on there. And I will often go check it out just to see like who's using the tag. But for me personally and for LTN, well, actually, so for LTN, we do not use it. And we don't use it not because we're like ashamed of the gospel or anything, but we are. So
you're saying LTN denies Christ? That's what you're saying, is LTN denies Christ. That's the only way I can say it.
Nobody clip that. No, that is not. No. So it's who are you trying to reach? Like we're trying to reach. We're not just trying to reach Christians. Like obviously Christians need love, like Jesus's love as well, and encouragement and positive encouragement and all of that. But like we're trying to reach everyone, and we're not some inclusive like club that like just wants to create a spot for Christians to come hang out and to debate theology and do all of this stuff. But we're an organization that wants to welcome everyone in, no matter like what walk of life, whether you're a Christian or an atheist or like whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter. We want to welcome you in, and we want to create that safe place to, again, it goes back to the core of like why we exist, is to love people first and treat them as people, and then earn a right to the gospel.
So what's the downside then?
The downside
for your organization, for you guys on stream, if you had the Christian tag on there, you feel as though it would be a barrier to meet those people?
I think it's a turnoff for some people. And again, it's not everyone. I'm not saying like everyone sees this tag and is like, no, I don't want to talk about Christianity. But like in some cases, like you got to take a step back and see like, okay, how is this going to help? And then how is like the pros and cons of it, basically. And so I think, I think not having it, you're going to bring in Christians and non-Christians alike, because it's like a Christian is typically, if there are any, they're not going to be like, oh, they don't have a Christian tag, like I'm not going to watch that. Maybe there's someone out there, but for the most part, if someone, because you never know someone's history, you never know someone's past, because again, you could have like a buddy of mine, like I was talking about earlier, who grew up in Christianity, but like he ended up on the outside of it and totally turned off to it, really, they're going to see that and be like, I don't want to relive that. Like, you never know someone's past. And so personally, like, we found it probably better for our community to not use it. That being said, I have been using it on my personal channel just to see. Okay. Just to, like, I use my personal channel. It's my hobby. It's just for fun now. Obviously, I'm still trying to do the same things, and I point people to LTN and like talk about my Christianity and like beliefs and everything. But it's like, it's kind of
the bait and switch. Like, the bait and switch. I see.
It's the guinea pig of stream, which I honestly highly recommend. Of just having a guinea pig stream and then, like, you know, learning from that and applying it to the main one. I have it on there, and like, honestly, I have not gotten one person say like, hey, I came over because I saw you had the Christian tag, and I've used it like dropped just because I was curious. So
see, but yeah, Warrior just pointed out the fact that I don't have the Christian tag on mine. I sat down, so I sat down with my daughter, and her mission is like, when she streams, her theme word is safe space. She wants to be a place where people come in, and no matter what walk of life they're in or what they've been through, they want to know that when they land in her stream, it's a safe place to be. They're not going to get triggered. They're not going to get upset. They're not going to get anything. They're not going to get pushed in any direction that makes them feel bad. That's sort of her mission, right? And so she introduced me to the term safe space. But after talking with you about the idea of Christian, I was already kind of dubious about it, because I knew that as I was building my channel, I built with a bunch of people who weren't Christian. I built with some people who were, and some people who I talked to on different social media, and all of my social media was connected to Christian stuff. And so that started to build. But as soon as I put the Christian tag on there, that all of a sudden I got a ton of believers, a ton of like people who were really committed to the church, committed to Christ, they wanted to talk about Jesus stuff into my stream. And I found that the amount of people that were coming in that did not give any kind of vibe for religious stuff or Christian stuff, it really went down. Like, the people that I said that I wanted to reach, the people that I was like, I'm here for the lonely, lost, disenfranchised, those who are sitting at home looking for that community, they weren't coming in. Now I was basically gathering Christians who were looking for a home to be able to on Twitch to go, okay, I don't want the yucky stuff, and I don't want the sit here and get preached at for 3 hours. I want to come in, and so that's the people I started to attract. And I think it was a big part, it was because of that Christian tag. But now that I built a bit of a following that kind of sticks around, or at least lurks, I feel like now I can turn off the Christian tag more consistently and hope to attract people who would look at that and otherwise leave. They look at it and they, I don't want to be here because of the Christian. So that's the reason I have it off. I do toy with the spirituality one though, because I feel like spirituality is more generic and less. Everybody's spiritual, right? Everybody wants to be spiritual, so I feel like people aren't gonna get weirded out by that one. But the Christian one, I've turned off more than I've turned it on lately.
Yeah, and like Bubba, the tag brings in Christians, which is fine, but you need to know who you want to reach. So it comes back, and I have a little bit of a marketing background. Like, who's your target audience? Are you trying to bring in Christians? Then use the tag. If you're trying to reach everyone or like anyone but Christians, like, don't use the tag. It's just knowing your audience and what you want to do. Is it right or wrong to use the tag or not? Like, no. It's just, who are you trying to reach? So what kind of community are you trying to build?
In the last 4 minutes here, I do have another question that sort of springs to mind. And that is the idea of mentoring streamers, or mentoring the next generation of streamers. You're not old, you're not, ancient like me compared to most people on Twitch. You're sort of you're still in the age group there where you can be seen as reasonable. Okay, so now we got time. That's good.
Well, hey, I gotta go, man.
I mean, you can feel free to go anytime. But I do want to ask the question, if you want to stick around and answer it. to say when it comes to the next generation of streamers, especially Christian streamers, say the streamers that are either seeking to be quietly on and just being a light in a dark place, or those who are like on fire that really want to like be a missionary organization, whatever. What does LTN do? What do you do? What's your take on mentoring the next generation? For me, I found it amazing that I sat down here one day, and as I'm going through the people who are connecting with me and all the places that I'm connecting, there were a ton of streamers who were interested in streaming that were coming to my stream. And when I said, is anybody interested in being mentored? There was an actual outcry where they went, yes, I need that, please. And I said, well, we're going to do character mentoring. I'm not going to teach you how to use OBS, but I'm going to teach you how to be, a godly person who knows how to listen to the Holy Spirit and be able to make a calendar, figure out your spiritual gift, do all those things. If you're interested in that. And it was like, yes, please, do that. So talk to me from the LTN perspective, your perspective about the idea of mentoring the next generation. Or people that are there now, for that matter. Maybe not even the next generation, people that are there like now.
Yeah. No, I get people that hop into chat all the time and ask like how I got my start, or like where to start streaming, or what am I using for whatever, or they'll see something like, how'd you set that up? And like I am one to always just stop and explain like what it is, or answer that question like right away. Because I just love sharing my experience. And again, like I sound like a broken record, but like I'm not in this alone. There's people reaching people that I could never reach. And so if I could teach this one guy how to do some sort of alert or whatever, and it improves his stream and makes him, more, gets more views or whatever, then, that's my little part about, like that I could do. Is there a path that you can take within LTN right now, or under you, that you could go in and like learn how to stream and learn how to be a Christian streamer, learn that those kind of skills? Because I know we talked about that and how that doesn't really exist very much out there. Yeah. And I know you guys, but so where are you going with that right now, or are you? Right now, all it really is we have a stream central, or like stream section in our Discord that we have, that is focused around streamers, focused around our stream, like when we're live and all the announcements and all of that. And we have right now, all we have is I don't remember what it's called, but basically just stream help. Like if anyone's got any kind of question about streaming, which is actually pretty active. People ask questions all the time about like DMCA, like copyright free music, or like, where do I start? Or what is a good camera to have, or what kind of microphone should I be looking for? But the beauty of it is, it's not, me answering all these questions. It's not Bubba being like, oh, this is what I use, this is what everyone should use. It's the community, it's other streamers, it's other people that are tuning in and be like, oh, this is the music I play. And like, it's a whole conversation. Like, it's not just be like, I'm going to actually, it's not Ninja having a master class of like how to be successful on Twitch.
Yeah. Do you see LJ taking that thing apart? That was so funny.
Oh, there's so many people picking that apart, and it's just like, hey, I don't have any problem with it. Like, if people are gonna take it, like, more power to them. They got the money to spend on that. Like, go for it. Yeah. But then all the other people on Twitter getting bent out of shape of like, oh, I can't believe he said that. It's just like, dude, take a step back. Like, everyone has a different approach. Also, Ninja, whatever he did, it worked for him. Not necessarily it's going to work for everyone, but like, he's sharing his experience. Just like, let him do his thing, whatever. Anyway, so it's not one person saying like, this is how I was successful. It's everyone chiming in and being like, oh, this is what I do. And it doesn't matter if they got 1 viewer or 100 viewers. Like, they're all there sharing their experience. So it's not only helping this new person or this person trying to figure out how to make it work for their stream, but it's helping boost other streamers' confidence in saying like, oh, I figured this out. Like, this is what I did. So it's really cool. And then we do have plans to try to to, you know, produce YouTube content in order to help people like, hey, this is how we set up our lights or whatever, or this is how we set up this. But we also want to we want to do more with that like streamer network, and we want to be able to point others to like all these other streams in an official capacity. So
I've been actively pushing myself away from those kind of videos, because I think it's easy for someone who's interested in streaming and spends all their time thinking about streaming and working on their stream and all the rest of that stuff to go, okay, what am I interested in? What am I good at? Well, I'm good at this. I'm going to make a video on that. I literally went, no, I'm not going to do that, because everybody knows how to do that. Everybody's making those kind of videos. What do I have that's different than what they have? Right. And so I think for me, the technical aspect is plenty covered, but I think the character aspect is one that is not covered. Yeah. So that's where I'm leaning.
I think there's a balance. I think our intentions behind wanting to make like tech videos on how to do this is to immediately help our community. But if we can make that video and like share it with the community, but post it on YouTube, like it's kind of a double whammy. You know?
I guess it gives you cred too, right? It's the nerds who can walk up to you and go, hey, oh, there you go. Like these guys know what they're doing. Yeah. They have a video on, they've actually heard of whatever the plugin is, right? Hi, Bunny. Good to see you. Welcome.
Yeah. So I think that goes to like another big, you know, thing that we want to accomplish is we want to create content, but we want to make good content, because I mean, again, another stereotype of like Christian content is like cheesy, Jesus jukey like stuff. And so it's like when we produce something, when we stream, we want it to look professional, not because we're trying to brag or anything, but because we're going to hold people's attention just that much longer. I've said it
this way, and this is, I've talked to people in church about this, and you know, we're talking about how when we're running an actual like service, is that it's kind of like holding up a symbol, like everything, you're holding up a symbol, and it's fine and whatever, everybody shows up, it's good, you're trying to achieve good, but there are certain things that can happen that is like dropping that symbol that's just going to distract whoever is there from being able to pay attention. And I think, you know, if your audio sucks, your lighting sucks, your video sucks or whatever, you can have the best message, be the most winsome person in the entire world, but they're going to come in, they're going to look at you, and they're going to go, I'm not giving this guy a chance, I'm out, right? So that the level of excellence you need to achieve is not perfection, right? That's not going to happen, but you need to get to a certain level to be able to get the kind of credit from those who are watching to be able to say, they're taking this seriously. Maybe they know what they're talking about. I'm willing to sit here and listen. Yeah.
Yep. Precisely.
All right, dude. You know what? I'm going to say to the chat, don't give me any more subs. I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to go. I want to go. I'm done. Stop giving me. So,
I haven't seen my family in so long.
Yeah. All that being said, if you look at my sub goal right now, we're doing an insane smoothie stream. Amazing. And it's going to be weird. It's basically my daughter 5 years ago made a video called Skittle Smoothie, and it was Skittles and peanut butter and jujubes and yogurt and just like the weirdest stuff. And so we're gonna if I get to 75, we're going to replicate and add to the Skittle smoothie, and then we're going to try to drink it and see how that goes. So we'll see, because that all kind of came out of the streamiversary, which like she promised she would never share that YouTube video with anybody, with these YouTube videos she did 5 years ago with anybody. And she came up with the idea, well, why don't we use that as a channel or as a reward? And I'm like, all right, we'll do it.
I caught part of that. I think I saw the announcement for her like community being like the like Juicies or something. Or
yeah. She almost died. I think she'd forgotten about that, and she wanted to crawl into a hole, like turn herself inside out.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like if anyone looks up my old YouTube content, it's like it's nothing bad, but I'm sure I'd be like, I did that.
Oh, I know. I'd same thing. I got a decade of sermons on there and videos and podcasts and whatnot, and every time I go back to it, it's always, what was I thinking? And oh my goodness, you know, like, yeah. But I did the best I could at the time.
And be like, what were we doing?
I know I'm going to look back and be bummed that I didn't have a decent camera. My next big purchase, like I want the Stream Deck for sure, because I finally figured out why I need more buttons. But the camera thing, I think that's a major step in looking pro. Like if you don't have a good, you know.
Someone's sending me at some point a new stream deck, and so I have one that I'm giving away. So you can enter to win that. I'm gonna do the whole like it's not gonna be like a money thing. It's gonna, and sorry to self plug, but you got a chance to win mine,
dude.
But it's just like
feel free.
Twitter.
Plug away.
Whatever.
In fact, for the last minute here, as we're winding it down, why don't you tell everybody who's listening how to find you, where to go, what they should go look into, and the best way to connect with you, who is clearly a great creator and an awesome guy.
Oh, I appreciate the kind words. I try to be, but praise God that He's using me. I'll say I'm a broken vessel, and He's found a way to use me in the Twitchverse. But you can find me specifically if you just go to FrostByteIV.com. Like all my stuff's there. Specifically, you can go to FrostByteIV.com. Or it's a 4, okay? I'm going to say 4 because it's a Roman numeral 4 if you guys didn't pick up on that. But FrostByte4.com/socials. I'll give you all my socials. But more importantly, go check out Love Thy Nerd. Browse around the website a little bit. Learn a little bit about us. You learned a lot about me talking about it here, but lovethynerd.com /articles. You could go check out articles. You could go to our podcast, learn about that. Twitch, find us there. Again, socials. You can find all our socials on the website as well. But check us out. And if you like listened and heard, like got excited about anything I was talking about these outreach things, like we go to several different conventions a year. If you want to go on a trip, like you can go on a trip with us. Like that is a thing. If you go to lovethynerd.com/outreach, you can sign up for a missions trip with us, like all sorts of stuff. And if you got any questions, just find us on Discord, find me on Discord, find me on Twitter. I would love to talk with you guys about any of it. I would love to.
Boss, man. Boss. That's so cool. Really, really cool. You said at the beginning, that I'm just a broken vessel. And I remember back when I was a kid, I think it was in VBS, I heard somebody said, God can draw a straight line with a crooked stick. And I always thought that was so poignant until I started thinking about it. And I'm like, literally everyone can draw a straight line with a crooked stick. That's how all sticks are. All right, dude, I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. You have a good day and good stream. Everybody go follow him. He's the best. Bye.
See you guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Isn't he cute? He's adorable.
This is just wrong. This is just wrong with so many levels.
The eyes say cute, and then you get close and start screaming. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a shiter. Look, it's a shiter. That's a shiter. I guess that's better than a spark.